to interrupt this message for a very important broadcast. Welcome to the Distillery on PodX.
I'm going to be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
Oh, yeah. Hey, friends. Welcome to another episode of The Distillery. I'm very excited for today because the weather has turned. It's beautiful outside. I even busted out my shorts and flippies the other day. It's barbecue season, and one of the things that might be top of mind right now is meat. Well, I'm excited to have our guests today, Rob and Pam Peters from 6 on the Block Quality Meats, located out in Lacombe. They come with a pile of expertise when it comes to your protein products. And I'm bringing them on, of course, to talk a little bit about exactly what they have to offer. But even deeper than that, when you think about exactly where your meat comes from, a lot of folks only have one connection from basically their wallet to the grocery store. But now I think a lot of people are starting to explore more options than that. So I'm excited. They had a very busy day, but they made time to come back to the office. Rob and Pam from 6 on the Block Quality Meats. How are you guys doing?
We're good,
Awesome.
Tony.
How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about one of our favorite topics, which is meat. So one of the things I touched on in the intro is exactly where our meat comes from. And I think a lot of folks don't realize that there's fresh options available, and there are a variety of them with your local butcher. So on that note, talk a little bit about the processing that goes into what you supply in your coolers. Where does it come from?
Well, generally, we try to support local as much as we can. Our beef is from Alberta. Our pork is from a place out in Bashaw. So we try to keep it as local as we can. Our chicken is, our whole chickens come from Pine Hill Colony.
And then we also have a pasture-fed chicken that comes out of a place called Salty Lake out of Stettler. It's a little Mennonite family, really nice family.
Cool.
So we try to get as local as we can in central Alberta for all the products that we bring in.
Yeah.
Now, in choosing where your supplier comes from, is there a process where both of you go out, you have a tour of the facility, talk to the ownership a little bit, and see exactly how they're raising these different livestock?
Yeah, for the most part, we're in close contact, and they're friends of ours that we deal with, that we're getting our quality product from.
That's handy.
I like to keep it close to home, and I like having people that support us, then we can support them as well.
Yeah, like the one Hutterick colony that we deal with out of Bashaw. I mean, we've been friends with them for over 15 years, 20 years, personal friends with them. And so, yeah, we get to know what they do, how they raise them. We've been through their barns before. So we know that it's not a, run of the mill. You got 1,000 animals being slaughtered at a time. We know that it's one or two or whatever. And we actually can see it right from start to finish.
I love that. And when you put out your product, I think a lot of people are not only able to tell the difference when it comes to looking at it, but even the flavor profiles of all of that, in my experience anyway, is so obvious. One of the things that a lot of people talk about is no hormones, no this and that. But one of the confusing parts of that is if an animal is sick, you got to give it medication, right? So can you tell us a little bit about the difference of when somebody's looking for something that's hormone free and all this other stuff free, what that actually means, and what you know from your producers, what they provide for animal care?
Okay, so just to get rid of this
Stigma.
Mother's tale,
any
animal that it's processed is hormone free, because the hormones they give them, they're young, and it's out of their system by the time that they get slaughtered. Okay. Antibiotics, they have withdrawal periods that they have to follow. It's protocol. They have to follow it. There's no way around it. So to eliminate those two items, basically you're getting product that is antibiotic free and hormone free.
Right.
Because there's no way that you can push those products through with Alberta agriculture and the
Alberta Health.
Well, Alberta Health and as well as the CFIA, so the Canadian Federal. Like, it's just not something that goes through. It's like people, there's a lot of promotion saying that, oh, they're fed hormones, they're fed this, they're fed that. But you know what? Before the animal is actually processed, it has to be hormone free and it has to be antibiotic free.
Right.
Processed meaning actually slaughtered and cut down into the steaks or the roast type of thing.
Absolutely.
But then a lot of confusion that people have too is they want 100% grass fed and they also want 100% organic. That's a whole new territory when you're looking at organic. That just doesn't mean how you raise it. It means you've got to be certified organic. I believe it's 5 years, Rob.
Yeah,
that's
a 5-year process.
That farm that you actually feed the animal on has to be certified organic before, and for 5 years before that animal can actually be a certified organic animal as well.
Now, in talking about that, do you deal with both those items, or is there just a specific way?
We have grass-fed products that we can get and sell that way. Organic it's a little more trickier, but we do carry some products on that. But it's
pricier product.
Yeah, it's a pricier product. It's just more dollars on your product, right?
Either way, the quality of product that you're putting out, I know, is guaranteed and it is fantastic. And no, it's not pumped full of what like dyes and water and all this stuff that people have going through their heads. But it's the truth. When you look at and I bring up the example that we discussed earlier just before we went on. I've put a pound of ground beef on a frying pan from the grocery store, and even the coloring looks different from something that I know isn't pumped full of salt waters and all this other stuff or dyes or something. And it kind of threw me off for a moment. And even the flavor profile is completely different than that. So when you get it from the grocery store, is it because of the freezing process? Is it preservatives thing? What's the difference that I'm picking up on?
The difference you're picking up on, I used to work grocery too as well. Like I've went through processing plants, little abattoirs, retail, now my own. It's when the grocery stores bring them in, they bring them in tubes, and they're like a 10-pound tube, and they just regrind them, put them back on the counter. That product is not necessarily like a chuck base or a cross rib base or anything like that. What they do is these big plants will take a scissor knife. So it's a round knife, and they'll scoop out all the meat in between the bones and that kind of stuff. So there's lots of moisture there, lots of gristle. You're not getting like a full quality beef.
Solid meat.
Right.
And what we do is we do full muscle. We grind that out, and you guys are getting like awesome product.
Yeah, when you actually get down to our hamburger, like our 1 pound packs of ground beef, when you fry it up, like as a wife that actually does the cooking, you're gonna get sometimes less than a teaspoon of fat off of that. So it's a totally different way of cooking it even than what you get in the grocery store, because it's going to cook faster, right? You don't have all that fat. It's not sitting in all that water.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's our lean to extra lean. So, you look at the price, factor, $14.50 a kg is what we do for our ground beef. But you're getting almost what the grocery store would consider an extra lean product. You're getting that at a lean price.
Right. When it comes to pricing, though, that's another common misconception too. Is it true to say that the pricing of your final 1 pound ground beef is going to go all the way back to the producer and what they have to spend on feed and all that sort of stuff? Is it a much more complicated thing than market, or what goes into that?
Well, you got to think about, I'm paying pretty much when I buy my primals and I buy my beef stock and that kind of stuff. I'm paying pretty much the same price as what the grocery stores are paying. So, in token of that, they're getting just as much back out of from me as what the grocery stores are doing, but they're buying volume. I'm buying, not as much volume. So I think the money going back to the farmers depends on Cargill, JBS, on what they want to pay the farmers.
And they call that,
wow.
What do they call that? A bottom rail price from?
Yeah, they call them a rail price.
Rail price.
When incidents come in with the past and that kind of stuff, and the beef prices going up, the farmers are not going to make it anymore.
No.
Like, they're not making any more money. The kill plants, they're making the money.
Yeah.
Right? Because they shoot us up, our prices go up. Farmers don't get it anymore. They're just making more in the plant.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I thought the farmers or the beef producers would have been part of that equation, but they're still left on the outside looking in, and that's ridiculous.
What they do with these farmers, they'll say, because it's all pre-ordered, and they say, okay, we're going to pick up your beef on this day. Something happens, they say, we're not going to pick it up for another 4 months. So in 4 months, you're still feeding these beef.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're not going to get any better price for them at that time. So
beef and pork.
Yeah.
Beef and pork. Like, for example, Ollie Mill did a shutdown here just recently. And in that shutdown, I think the hog producers were lucky. Am I right, Rob? Because they actually guaranteed the price that they said prior to the shutdown.
Yeah.
So these farmers are feeding these pigs. These pigs are overweight, and usually they get docked for that. The farmers get docked for that price when they bring those pigs in, for example. No different than the beef.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. Overweight. Like, wouldn't you want more product?
Well, it's weight per shackle is what they look at, right? But they say that a market weight pig is 285 pounds. If it hits 300, they go, oh, it takes so much more time to process it. Yeah. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
Right?
Well,
so they try to dock that way. And then a lot of the guys were in this past little run there when Ole Mill shut down for a bit. They were shipping to the States, and the States were paying them pennies on a dollar for their pork.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's one of the hard parts about when you have a giant producer. If there is a shutdown for any sort of reason, the scrambling that must have to happen in order to, and other plants will pick that up and maybe take advantage of it. But the interesting part about the local butcher aspect of it, and I would say to any local butcher, and I don't know really of many others that do sort of the quantity that you would out in Lacombe, but I would say you guys might have an advantage with that, because although you're handling a fair bit of product, you're small enough. There's enough leeway either way. You're not going to get stranded with 100 or 1,000 head of animal that you need to process, right? So when it comes to selecting your beef or your pork, how does that work, Rob? Do you and Pam get to go out and kind of eyeball different beef, or
we have certain producers that we deal with that we know what kind of quality they carry? So it's a trust factor.
Okay.
We get them processed in an abattoir, so they're federally inspected, and then we sell them on the rail to customers, that kind of thing. But it's like our pork producer out in Bashaw, he's probably got some of the best pork I've ever seen. So it's we get to pick, we get to choose. It's not something that we just okay, Joe Blow over there has got some beef to sell. I want to know how it was raised, what was done.
We want to know the people it comes from. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's close contact there.
And I think that's one of the reasons why your sort of shop is becoming such a new way of supplying your proteins to your family in a way where you can trust not only you two, but in the fact that you can trust right from the ground up where it comes from. but then you get a quality product, and in a lot of cases, custom product that you could never get somewhere else in a long cooler. You know what I mean? What have you seen in the evolution since when you started your business? For instance, let's go back to how long has your shop been open now at this point?
It will be 2 years in April that
1.
we physically opened the doors here in Lacombe. But prior to that, we actually operated out of a trailer out at the local campgrounds. And we had a friend that had a processing place down in Crossfield. And we had our smoker down there, and we would drive down to Crossfield every day. We'd smoke the product, package it. Then we bring it up and we'd sell it at the local campgrounds out of our trailer.
So what sort of product are we talking about, Pam? Is it like jerky?
Smokies, patties, jerky,
Yeah, okay.
steaks, anything, right? And so we were traveling that hour and a half every day, twice a week. And so, and then I used to work oil fields. So, up and down. And it was kind of, Rob and I were driving around. We live up here at Gull Lake, and we're driving around going, how are we going to make our mortgage payment? Let's go back to our roots. That's where we came from. People got to eat. They got to eat all the time. And my history is, my dad used to have a processing plant, and I used to raise my own cattle on his farm, and I'd put them through his processing plant. But it was easier to do oil field when the kids were growing up and going to school. And Rob's always worked in abattoirs or with the meat in somehow. So yeah, we kind of put our heads together and went, okay, let's take a plunge. And we're in central Alberta. Number one, it's one of the largest Dutch communities around. And Rob being Dutch, where are these people taking their animals? There's no place out there for these people. So we took a plunge, a huge risk, and did everything we could to, like, almost a second mortgage on our house, right? Just to get this place operating. And we're thinking that first year that we opened, God help us if we can get through the first month, because I think my retail sales was $50 the first week. And I said to Rob, what did you do?
Hey. Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
But
good timing and a good decision. And yeah, the community has needed it. Now, this last 2 years, it's taken the community that long to find out who we are and to trust us. Trust is the biggest thing in a butchering industry.
Yeah.
So.
And well, you guys were lucky to begin with, and I say lucky because you had such a wealth of experience in the trade already, which comes to the name. And I had to ask, I'm like, what the hell is 6 on the block? Like you were the 6th round draft pick. Like, what the hell does that mean? Yeah. So explain a little bit.
I feel like the 6th round draft pick.
Explain a little bit about why 6th matters to your name and what that means to the shop.
Okay, so 6th on the block is determined by, I'm the 6th generation meat cutter. So 6th on the meat block, that's where we got the 6th on the name. Yeah, it's a family thing, something that has gone on for 6 generations, and we try to get out of it how many times. But
yeah, that
never worked.
Butcher,
so, but now we came up with 6 on a block, and we're here in Central Alberta and just pushing everything we can do.
It's really funny too, because if you ever have been to our shop, our whole front end display is actually Rob's family. So it's his dad, his uncles, and his grandfather on our front door. And then the outside pictures is actually of Rob's grandpa's place in Holland. Yeah. And their old butcher shop over in Holland. So if you actually take a look at these pictures, the European way of doing a butcher shop and the Canadian way of doing a butcher shop are so completely opposite.
Really? How do you mean?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What do you mean, Pam? Like, what are some of the main differences that you would note?
Number one, over there, they don't have to have refrigeration to hang their dried product. So right in the front of their store, where there is no refrigeration, they've actually got pictures of I think it's bacon or something hanging.
Yeah,
up
they
there.
got all the processed dry cured meats
are hanging in the front window. So
it's all displayed, like it's all out there.
Yeah.
You know, my grandpa used to have a front display window that every morning on a Saturday they cut a complete side of beef in detail and laid it all out.
Wow.
And you can't do that here. And here we're restricted to, here's your packaged product, right? So when we built this place, we kind of wanted to go back to the European style.
Go back to the old school.
We wanted to have a glass front so that they could actually see that side of beef hanging there and chop it off. And they slapped my fingers big time. You can't do that, Pam.
But I think that again goes back to the idea of, a lot of people don't understand where their meat comes from, and that's the real down and dirty end of it. It's there's a death involved. There's some gnarlier ends of it involved, but the quality of product that comes out is important. So I personally know that I'm disconnected from that a lot, but for you two, it's something that I trust you both to take care of in that end. But also when the European side of it and your roots, the interesting part is you said that Rob, you brought some recipes to the shop that are old recipes. So when people go in at 6 on the block, they could try, like, what is it, a sausage or what are they trying?
Yeah, we have some dry summer sausage. We have some fresh sausage. There's certain things that Dad passed on to me that we bring in, and there's a variety of different things, some kind of curing and that kind of stuff. A lot of the product that we do here in the store is something that I made, like something that I designed, and this is what I want.
And one of the jerky recipes is my dad's recipe. Yeah. So it goes back to my side. And but most of the breakfast sausages, the dry summers, all those things, those come. The mac and cheese loaf. Like, come on, people. This goes back everybody's grandparents, right? The macaroni and cheese loaf. And it is actually really good if you think about it. Yeah.
Sure.
Everybody loves mac and cheese.
But the original idea of preserving was mostly because you didn't want to leave anything go to waste. Exactly. Is that why when you look at the old country sort of recipes, Rob, when you talk about a dried sausage, I think people don't understand, like, it is literally, it's just fat and a high salt content, and what is it? It's cooler free. Like, you don't need a cooler for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but you go back generations and they didn't have the coolers. They didn't have the refrigeration. Right? So it was something that they killed the day, let it sit in the bar for.
Dude, don't worry about it, man. I cuss all the time.
But it sits in the barn for like 4 or 5 days, and then they cut it up. Yeah. And then they preserve it so that they can, without refrigeration, they can still eat it in 6 months.
Yeah. That's nuts. But that's the way, that's from a different time. Now you've had an opportunity to bring some of those recipes forward again. Yeah. And I can tell, I think, Pam, would you agree this is Rob's favorite part, is the experimentation that he's doing in the back?
His favorite part, and I got to tell you this, Tony. So we have gone from Pam and Rob running this place. Yeah. So now we got 12 employees.
Amazing.
So Rob's main job now is sitting in the office on the phone, talking to these farmers, booking their kills.
Not a good deal.
Taking the cutting list. He hates the office stuff, right? So I told him, okay, honey, I'm going to allow you 1 day a week. That's your day to do the most favorite thing you want to do. So what does he choose? Going to shoot something in the face. He's going to go out and shoot something in the face. So I'm not kidding, Tony. He gets up at 3 a.m. and he's pumped. He's jacked. He's in that shower. He's out the door at 3:30, and he's in the shop getting everything ready so he can go and kill something.
It's morbid, but it takes you kind of people to do that so that I can get my steaks, and I appreciate that.
There you go. I do it for you.
I love it.
Just laugh at him.
You touched on it a little bit, Pam, though. You mentioned that you had been in business for 2 years, and in a time where small business is really struggling across the board, your business has exploded. And I think a lot of it is a credit to people wanting something that's a better quality without busting their bank, but also in the sense that you two are so personable, and I think people love meeting you both. And then, of course, the product itself just speaks for it. You went from the two of you running a shop to now, I mean, in 2 years, you've over quadrupled at this point. So,
Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
It's amazing.
It's actually great. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
And I'm riding this wave, and I'm thinking, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen tomorrow? But some of the challenges that we've had, like you said, the huge growth, right? And it's employment.
Responsibility for people's paychecks now. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, and trying to give up and trust your employees to do what only Rob and I think we can do, right? So now you're trying to train them to pass on the quality and pass on the consistency, because they are the face. We're a team now. It's not just me and Rob. So I can't take my staff home and yap at them at home like I do Rob, right?
And she yaps at home.
But I mean, it's been really challenging to go, number one, the trust in your employees, right? Because that's what the customers get. Their first front end is my employees, right? Because I'm back there trying to make sure that they're cutting the little knobs off the steaks or whatever, so that when you get it, it's actually right. And Rob's up here doing the paperwork, but it's the overnight expansion. So
tell us about that. You're now 2 bays, right?
2 bays now. Have we got enough money generated and enough consistency that we can actually go to the next level for a bigger smokehouse, a bigger sausage stuffer, a bigger cryovac? This last 6 months, we have probably done what we didn't ever think we'd do in 7 years. In 7 years being in business, my marketing plan was not even going to be half of what we are right now. And
that's so great for you guys.
When you go to that marketing plan school and they tell you, oh yeah, you need to review your marketing plan in 6 months, there was no time for review. It was make a decision overnight and we're doing it the next day. And it pretty scary, Tony, because in this last year, like it was a year ago now, Rob comes to me and he says, okay, Pam, I think the price of beef is going to go up here pretty quick. So let's take $10,000 and let's load up on ribeyes. I said, what?
That's a gamble.
$10,000? We've only been in business 1 year. And you want me to take out of my line of credit $10,000 to buy steaks that I don't even know if I could sell?
I go to my wife for the money too, but not that much. Let me tell you.
So I
had some backing though on that one.
I was flipping out. But yeah, so actually, and then here comes in all these ribeyes, right? We push them into our one cooler, our tiny little cooler. And now I'm panicking, thinking, oh my God, people are going to break in and they're going to steal all this meat before I can sell it. So it was mad panic. Let's get something covering our windows. Let's get a hold of the RCMP and tell them they got to do their rounds out here so nobody's breaking in and stealing. I mean, this is when toilet paper was going off the shelf.
Right.
Toilet paper. And I'm worrying about ribeyes in my cooler. So yeah, it was huge, Tony. And it seems like the last 6 months, it's been decisions overnight. And you hope that you're making the right decision. You've thought out every angle, what could go wrong, what could go right. It's just, we get home some nights and we go, wow, did that really happen? Like it's surreal. It's surreal. And I miss the part when I'm standing up front talking to those customers. That's my main thing. I like to tell stories. I like to talk. I like to hear, these little farmers that come in there. So before COVID, they'd come in and they'd sit down on the bench and they'd tell me their story. And every 2 days, I'd see these same little guys, right? I miss them. I miss them. That is what this is all about. I want to know about your life. I don't like to be so darn busy that I can't talk to my customers, right? So yeah, it's been a challenge personally and physically for sure.
Well, yeah, you two are go nonstop, but there's a great reason for that, because I think a lot of people have discovered that the local butcher shop is more than getting a custom cut for a family roast or something like that. Now, as Jennifer and I, we discovered, make the switch and you can do all of your grocery shopping at the local butcher if you plan it out. And that gave birth to something you two call the block box, which I don't know if a lot of people know about. Rather than, get your meat sourced all locally from the places that you just mentioned, and explain to us a little bit how that works.
Well, basically our whole front end, we've got a little bit of everything, the beef, pork, chicken, seafood even. And basically, instead of having a butcher tell you what to eat, plan it out in your home. I don't know if you've got 4 people or 2 people in your house or 10 people. So all you got to do is place an order. Phone and say, hey, we need 100 pounds of hamburger. We need 10 steaks. We need them 4 to a package. And I said, and you spend $200, you get 10% off. And that goes on all the time.
Love it.
And if you're a senior, I love my seniors. If you're a senior and you're 65 years of age or older, you have to tell me, because I'm not going to ask you how old you are. Tell me, because you get 10% off on everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that as well as first responders, any kind of medical or RCMP or anything like that.
We give 10%.
They get 10% because you know what? We appreciate what you do for our community.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's the cool thing about not being a giant corporation. You've got that growth, but you still get to keep that community feel, right, in what you do. And I love that. But the other side of it is the actual custom cut butcher stuff. And because the pellet grill community, barbecuing in general, the whole culture has exploded here. Yeah. I mean, do you see a lot of these sort of guys coming in on the regular? They just want specific cuts or stuff like that?
Towards the end of last year, last summer, it started to pick up. And now whenever we see a warm weekend like such, these guys are coming in and they're just, they want to buy stuff that they can smoke and impress their family with.
Well, and people are everybody's going back to the old school, right? The old way of doing things. So, I mean, they can't afford to be buying pulled pork. So let's go to the local butcher and let's buy a shoulder roast and let's do it ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And camping. I mean, people have time to camp now. So this is what they're doing. They're taking these smokers out camping, and it's a big smoker weekend. Yeah. But I think what really started that smoker idea was the Tomahawks that the Zed actually got us into doing last year.
The Tomahawk Steaks. These are a beautiful thing.
We never carried those. Until we started doing that stuff with you guys.
And then after that, the smoking industry and the Tomahawk Steaks, they're just flying out the door.
Yeah,
Can you tell us a little? Okay, for those that don't know, like they might look at a tomahawk steak, they see the big bone and the giant chunk of meat on it.
Yeah.
What is that? It's a ribeye, right? No.
It is the greasy goodness that you could live on for the rest of your life. How about that?
No, it's off the prime
You're not
rib.
wrong.
It's actually off your prime rib.
Oh, okay.
It is part of your prime rib.
And only they cut back the.
So you have your prime rib is here, then you have your short ribs coming out here. So they cut the short ribs shorter and leave more bone on the prime rib.
Right. So
and then they just French out the bones.
That's it. Make it all clean and pretty. And that's I mean, listen, they could have called it meat clubs because these things are amazing. But the explosion of these has been interesting because I watch a lot of barbecue shows. Yeah. And from what I can see, there's so many different ways that somebody could do this. It's almost a challenge for people to create the best way to do a tomahawk. They're doing a reverse sear or they're doing a smoke or whatever.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, selecting a steak, a tomahawk is a great choice. Absolutely. And you can get them there at 6 on the block. Is it one of those things that people should phone about or they're in the cooler? Okay.
We got them all the time.
We've gone from selling 1 a week to we're doing 6 and 7 a day right now. Of tomahawks. It's crazy.
I love the Central Alberta, man. People just making tomahawk steaks on the regular, and I will do one eventually one day.
So here's the funny thing with those tomahawks, Tony. I myself, we have never cooked a tomahawk.
Ever?
Never.
What?
So I said to Rob, as soon as I think that's one of those steaks that you got to do on your barbecue or on your open campfire. That's what I think. But we've never done it. So I said to Rob tonight, I said, you know what? I think that we have to do one of these tomahawks so we can tell people how to cook them. Because all I'm going off of is what you've shown on YouTube on how to cook a tomahawk. Use your cast iron pan. And yeah, that's what I'm telling people because I don't know.
There's a million different ways. A lot of people do the smoker. Well, they'll smoke it like any side or anything until you get the internal temperature you like, or at least you're getting close to it. And then you just sear the crap out of it and call it a day. Yeah. So if you're going to do it, on a propane grill, you better top rack that thing for a while.
Yeah, no crap.
Before it's like a roast. And then when it's almost done, you sear it all up. But the regular steaks are something that, a lot of people don't understand the selection on too. And I just encourage everybody to ask their local butcher. My wife loves a top sirloin as well. It's a very lean meat or whatever, but she prefers it that way because she's the girl that cuts off all the fat grizzle, and I get it. I love that stuff.
Yeah. She's cutting it off and you're eating it. I hear you.
If somebody comes in and they're looking for a steak, the best part is, Rob, you play with that smoker a lot in the back. You like to grill as well. And you have enough knowledge, of course, with the cut for both of you. So just talk to your butcher about what you might want, I think. And a lot of people don't do that enough, right?
Yeah. A lot of people say, I want a really good steak. And it's like, okay, tell me what kind of steak you like.
Yeah. Do you like something that's got more rippling?
Some guys like lean steaks, right? Mm-hmm. A lean steak to a guy might be their thing, and a fatty steak like a ribeye's got a little more fat in it. Mm-hmm. I like them better because they're juicier. There's more flavor to them. Your strip loin, it's got some fat on it, but it doesn't have the full flavor that your prime rib will have.
So my mom used to everything was overdone. Everything was well done. And
like burnt like a freaking steak.
Yeah, totally. So that's how I grew up. It was strip loins. That was it. New York, the only thing my mom would cook, and it was burnt crisp.
Oh God!
When I met Rob, he's trying to introduce me to this ribeye, and I'm thinking there's too much fat on it, and there's too much red meat, and I just want it burnt. Anyway, so he used to shut the lights off and cook me the steak. That's how I decided I liked a ribeye.
That's a butcher man's romance right there.
First time she ever cooked me a ribeye, I went in for a shower and she burnt it. Like it was like charcoal. I came out and ate potatoes. That's it. I wouldn't eat the steak. I'm like, you killed it.
There you go, fellas. That's straight from 6 on the block, okay? You want to romance your girl. Make her a steak with the lights off, baby.
Just a really small candle, too. Eh?
Put a little music on. True story. My wife was that way, too. She used to have all of her steaks had to be well done. And even worse, she'd eat them with ketchup.
Oh, I get it, Jen. I get it.
Oh, that's nasty.
It's the worst. And you know what? It took her a long time, but we've got her down to a medium now, sometimes a medium rare. We're getting there.
Lights off, medium rare.
That's what I'm going to do next time. What's all this on my plate? It's just juice, baby. That's all it is.
Barbecue juice. Yeah, you're good.
Take that bread, soak it up.
One of the things we haven't talked about is I can buy your 6 on the block merch. I mean, you're big in the hunting community. And so many people, they're skilled and they do their own thing with their deer or whatnot. Yeah. But you can bring it into 6 on the block. And the cool thing is you both you have a way to do sausage, but you've got so much more now in the way of smoking capacity. And tell us a little bit about if somebody brings, down an elk or something and they want to bring it in. What are some of their options they can do with it?
Oh, options on
like steaks, obviously.
Steaks,
roast,
burger. You can get into any kind of smoked product, whether it's you go into smoked brisket, or you can do like cured legs and that kind of stuff.
And your jerkies.
And
Well, that's it. Then you get into all the snacks and the nibbles, right?
Yeah. Like you could turn the whole animal if you want to. It'll cost you a little bit, but you could turn that whole thing into a snack pack.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you can just take it out and you can put it in your kid's lunch. You can take it out when you're gonna go out on a road trip.
Or when you're on your next hunting trip, you're actually eating the last hunting trip.
And you know what? It's kind of funny because come September, you get all the wives chewing on their husbands going, get this shit out of my freezer.
Yeah, I need to eat it.
Because you're going to put some more in.
That's right.
So then they bring it in and they make pepperoni and jerky and stuff like that so that they go hunting that year.
So this last year of hunting, it was... Wow. In 26 years we've been together?
Yeah.
Was the first year I have ever seen Rob put a sign on the door, say no more wild game.
Wow.
In 26 years, I've never seen that.
It was just too much.
We got hit this last year over 242 animals of wild game only in 1 month.
Yeah.
And so there's another fast decision that had to be made. It was, wow, okay, let's get this stuff cut into steaks and roasts, bag and label their trim and freeze it so we don't lose it.
Right.
And then turn around and only pull out the trim that we can physically make the sausage out of and get it out as soon as we could. That was huge. This was huge. But I think, again, it's because everybody was out there trying to hunt their own meat, trying to save money because all these people were without work and trying to feed their families. And
we talked to Fish and Feathers, Fish and Wildlife. I should say Fish and Feathers.
Fish and Wildlife. Yeah.
We talked to Fish and Wildlife.
Fish and Feathers, man. That sounds like, if my native uncle was going to open up a bait shop, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
But we talked to the authorities about it, and they said that there was a 30% increase on hunters this year due to COVID because they got nothing else to do.
Yeah, people are
bored. Let's go shoot something.
So it was huge. And then of course that's November, right? I mean, I remember that opening day of November. It was crazy. It was a Sunday, November 1st. And Rob says, let's go to the shop and let's kind of putter around because I'm sure we're probably going to get a few phone calls today. Well, we had no idea. I was steady in the front end taking paperwork, and it was lined up around the entire complex, waiting for Rob to unload it at the back end. We took in, 18 moose on the first day. Yeah. Moose. It was crazy.
Thank God you got another cooler.
I was going wrong. When do we say no? When do we stop this?
That was another major decision we had to do.
An overnight decision.
Yeah.
It's like we can't do what we're doing and try to.
Yeah, and still pump out your regular quality and your regular product. Let's talk a little bit about your regular product, though, because when people come in, we've talked about when you go to your local butcher, you can do more than just get your custom steak for the night. You can get your full grocery shopping done there. Jennifer and I like to get a block box where we get a mix of burger, steaks, salmon. I love the fillets where you guys get them, and of course chicken and some fun other stuff on the side. But the treats are what get me every time. And I get warned. I go in there with the wife's card and she's like, now listen, you can get one treat and that's it, because you could just pick. There it is. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to listen to your wife on that.
I don't.
I mean, you buy the one day and then everything else is extra, right?
One day I bought a whole brisket when she wasn't looking. That was already done. So there's lots to offer. And in your expansion and watching your growth, it's been awesome, amazing, and I know you both are working yourselves to the bone to keep it going. I think a lot of people are appreciating this sort of local thing that we have right in our own backyard. So going forward, what are some of the plans? You just holding on by your bootstraps, or you got some new ideas, or anything you can leak on us? I see.
We're talking different ventures that we're going to look at. Which could cause more expansion.
There it is.
But we need to focus right now and get this completely operational and running smooth. But in the future, we are possibly looking at opening up another shop in another place.
A new location. Yeah.
A new location.
Or even like, do you mean like a retail cooler area that, keep your plant there? I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a neat idea.
It would sort of be something like a retail and a processing, but all the sausage making and the slaughter would happen out of our facility. So we'd be the main branch, and there'd be another branch over here that we'd haul that stuff from this branch to that branch, like the Smokies and
for the sales and that kind of stuff. And we'd probably still do a mobile slaughter out of that other branch. Yeah. So
it sounds like you guys got to figure it out. You got some plans.
Yeah, we got some plans, and then we're looking at some different processing ideas on. We have a lot of small locations around central Alberta that are looking for our product.
Yeah, so this is really strange. So
it's really been opening up that way that these guys want to carry our product.
Yeah, so like the small general stores throughout Alberta, that's the ones that have been contacting us. And so like I used to do farmers markets locally around here until last year. And I decided, no, I just got to focus on my business. And this was way before COVID hit and everything. But it's a good thing I did, because with the COVID, what people are starting to do now is they're starting to open these little artesian markets throughout Central Alberta.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't require Pam and Rob to be there to sell the product. These general store owners are coming to us and they're buying our product at a wholesale price and then turning around and putting it in their stores. And we're up to 7 different stores already in Central Alberta. This is crazy. So that just means my production is just going boom, which
it's a testament to your quality. That's it. People love your product, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
But tell us a little bit about, you're not only helping the shop by giving them a great product to feature, of course, but also you're help sharing a little bit in the advertising. And I think you both have gone above and beyond when it comes to helping out local community. Tell us about some of the things Six on the Block has had the opportunity to be a part of in the past.
Well, you know what, we're a firm believer in supporting people that support us, right? We're grateful for them coming to us and wanting to support our product, as well as we're trying to promote them and help them out and let them make some money too.
Yeah. So that's a new thing we're doing this year is, so these businesses that have supported us through this last 2 years and continue to support us, even in the downturn that they themselves have endured, they've continued to support us. So Rob and I said to each other the 2 days that we did get off at Christmas, we said, how can we turn around and give this back? How can we help them? Right. Like, yeah, I know we're run off our feet. We are busy. We have not had the days off that everybody else has. How can we help these guys? So we've decided to do a thing called Business Supporting Business. And in doing that, we are taking our advertising that we're paying for out of our personal pockets, and we're offering it to our local people that have supported us throughout here. So they're getting spots on the radio advertising, our social media advertising for them. And I mean, some of these people are
that's so cool.
One single person who runs their business and tries to survive. And we're offering, that was one thing that we did not cheap out on through all of this pandemic is we did not cut down on our advertising. We stuck with it and kept through it, as tough as it started to be, Well,
it's just it's a testament to what kind of people y'all are. It's down to earth, good folks, and helping out when you can, because God knows if one day you might need a hand yourself.
That's exactly
what I mean.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's really funny. You say that because when you start out a business, I mean, you've got everything invested in it. everything. I mean, second mortgage on your house. You've got every line of credit put right into this business, everything. And there was times when we were building that I'd look at Rob and go,
the hell are we doing?
What the hell are we doing? And really, do we have friends? Because we honestly thought it was just him and I against the entire world at some times. And so, now we're starting to see those people that did stick with us and get through that. And let's push it back at them. Yeah.
We appreciate them, and hopefully they appreciate what we do for them as well.
They had faith and trust in us, right?
I think a lot of people appreciate what you do because it's never going to stop. You're only going to grow from here on out. The quality of your product is incredible. And I think in closing, one of the few final things I want to remind people is go see those two beautiful people right there and get your barbecue, all your tasty snacks for the grill. Get one of those Tomahawk Steaks, and of course, make sure that you seriously consider buying everything that you need for staples for the house too. In closing, guys, I know a lot of people have helped you along the way. Any shout outs? What about Crystal's Canco? When you go to 6 on the Block Quality Meats, you got to try out some hot sauce. What else can we mention?
We got Old Smokes Coffee. We got My Man Brewery. We got Sidon 14 Brewery. We got Benelto General Store. Little Al out there, man. Now there's a man. There's a man right to your heart. Who else have we got here, Rob?
Your staff, obviously.
Yeah, we got the Wooden Shoe out of Gull Lake. We're supporting them now. And
we got
Nordegg, Danelle, Delia, Stetler, Drumheller, Hannah. All these people are just kind of grabbing.
What's that place in Lacombe? I can't think of it.
Blind Man?
Don't know. Well, we got Blind Man. Yeah.
But, see, that's what I'm saying.
Lido's in Lacombe. Yeah, you
have so many partnerships along the way, and little bit, and they're more than partnerships. I'm sure they're friendships as well. TBC Media. There's another guy I know. Jess works a lot with you, and he does a fantastic job.
Love you, Jess.
I just know he's watching. If I don't mention him, he's gonna slay on us all. So
he's gonna go, Pam. Why wasn't I your number one?
No, fair enough. No,
guys, thank you so much.
Daniel too. He does our website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's working on our website and getting that all up, and
we're gonna go online here by the end of the month. Online, guys, that's crazy.
The fact that you found a way to connect to this interview without help, I mean, you're learning. You're figuring out along the way. A year and a half ago, I would have been like, no way in hell they're going to figure this out. I love you both. Okay, thank you so much for doing this interview. You stay right there, Rob and Pam. I really appreciate you joining me. And there's so much more than that. Go to your local butcher. Check out if you're going to do these fancy charcuterie trade. Listen, it's a meat and cheese platter. If you're going to go do that, make sure you go to your local butcher. They're going to have a quality of product that you're just not going to be able to get anywhere else. Of course, when it comes to barbecuing, and it is the season, 6 on the Block Quality Meats. I mean, what are you doing? Go out there, not tomorrow. I think they got it off tomorrow. Next day, and then every single weekend after that. To Rob and Pam, 6 on the Block Quality Meats, thank you so much for joining me. I love you both, and this has been an interesting educational interview that I hope you all enjoyed.
Next time on The Distillery.
Hey, friends, we're looking for our next guests on The Distillery. Do you know somebody that would be great for a show, or do you have a great show idea? Email us at xmarkstv@gmail.com. And who knows, maybe your show idea will be the next episode.